Hey Stansell team, it's Angelica, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Stansell Blueprint. This is a new podcast that we're excited to bring to you in 2025 that we're going to be covering all things Stansell, everything that's going on internally, all the good information you need to know. We'll be answering questions, bringing guests on to talk to you, and we'll be sharing this once a month, maybe more, you tell us. Depends on how often you want to see my face. But I am your host. This came to be right after the Christmas party. We were reflecting on how wonderful it was to see everybody in person and just talk and have fun together. And we were like, how can we bring that more regularly and not have to wait until the end of the year? And so I was voluntold to be the host, probably because of my personality, more so probably because no one else wanted to do it. So this is going to be coming to you monthly. Super excited for that. And let's just dive right into it. So John, Jim, and myself, we met at the end of this past year, and we were reflecting on 2024. We were talking about execution with urgency, which if you were at the Christmas party or a part of our end of year meeting is something that we hit on very heavily. And we wanted to share some clips of that conversation with each of you. We feel like there's some very important parts to those clips and some big takeaways as we get into this new year. And that's how the cookie crumbles. So with that, let's go into our first clip.
It begins with how we prepare. Are you prepared in your craft? Did you come to Stansell with the job role that you have and being prepared to do that? Do you have the skill set to do that? And then, so we're going to work on that in 2025, extending our training through STEP. That is out to the entire organization. Super excited about that. So that's the Stansell Training and Enrichment Program. That's for the superintendents, project managers, office staff, coordinators, area supervisors. It's out there for everybody to use, and we're going to continue to use that, not just as an onboarding tool, but also to elaborate with tools that come in and need to be focused on for a minute. So looking at that, and then the validation. We invite new team members all the time, right, guys? Super exciting. Always have new people. But it's a little nervous time when you're new to a job, and you need to be able to settle in. But also, as an organization, we need to validate that what we've invited you to do, what you've signed up for, you truly are capable of doing that. So super excited about getting better at that in 2025, so that all of you are prepared. That's what we want you to do, prepared, and then the processes and routines, dig into some more of that, right? The pre-con meetings, the 3-week look-aheads, those are all things about execution with urgency and being prepared.
A big part of what Jim was talking about in that clip was investing in yourself, and our STEP program is the best way to do that, I would say. While we have things that are Stansell content, we also have things that can be assigned to you for further learning. So if you're interested in that, please take advantage of it. Moving into this next clip of John, he's going to be talking about urgency and what that means for different areas of Stansell. So whether you're in the office, you're in the fields, whatever you do with us, it's about executing with urgency. So watch this.
I think, when you look at, where do we go as an organization to get to the next level? I would say 2024 was definitely a transitional year. It was an eye-opening year. It showed us what we were capable of, but it also showed us the opportunities that we had. And I think, we've all agreed as a leadership team that our focus needs to be on urgency and being able to execute, more consistently, at an urgent level, and that everything is urgent. And, shifting from the mindset of being, very good at coming up with reasons why things can't be done or why they weren't done, and finding solutions to get past those challenges and turn those into successes. And being consistent with executing with urgency day in and day out, and that takes all of us, right? Mm-hmm. That's not something a drum that you beat and put it on the website and say, hey, this is what we're going to do this year. But it's more about every member of the team has to have that mindset for sure, to be able to execute our mission daily. So we're excited about that. You're going to hear a lot about that. I mean, that's the theme of of this podcast throughout the year will be, centered around how are we executing. We're going to have to make some changes. There's going to be things that we're going to have to do differently. Everybody has heard the definition of insanity. We can't do everything exactly the same way we did it in 2024 and expect there to be a different result. So, our goal is to want to be our customers' number one choice.
Yeah. I think too, the reality of where we are right now is that we have made a name for ourselves in this industry, and that's been years in the making, but people know the Stansell name, they know our brand. So it's our responsibility now to show up and maintain that and show people what we can do. We can't back off now. We have to keep on the momentum and go forward from there.
Yeah. What is that? What got us here won't get us there, is
Yeah.
the saying they used. Yeah. And so a little bit reflection, try to keep the trend for a second and move on. But 2024 was like a development year for Stansell. Think of all of the things that we were creating and developing. But here we are in 2025, we are developed. The foundation is there.
Yeah.
We have an organizational structure that no matter what size we can get to, we can just replicate the structure that we have. The pods are there. So I think we have the foundation. We have what's there. But as I was preparing myself this morning, I was like, we just need to, in 2025, I just want to finesse our craft.
Yeah.
Let's just finesse what we do.
We're very good at what we do. Yeah.
We don't need to make anything new. You use the word a second. We just need to make some changes. Yeah. We need to just finesse our craft, and then we'll be a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good way to put it.
And when you say the foundation, I think of our 4 pillars. Wow. We can build off of that foundation if those 4 pillars are in place, and everybody that works for us, takes those 4 pillars seriously and invest in themselves like we were talking about, shows up every day, wanting to do what's right for the client. That foundation is unshakable.
This next clip I want to show you guys is a conversation around profitability. And profitability is not a bad word. It's what helps us keep the doors open, keeps getting you guys paid, and keeps helping us grow. And every single person at Stansell has a role to play when it comes to profitability. So watch this.
I will say too that in order for an organization, that's our size to continue to be able to invest and the tools and the resources, profitability has to be, a part of what we do. It has to be, it is what we do. And we can't have the mindset that, now that we've hit $150 million in revenue, that somehow or another that automatically means that we're going to be profitable. And, that expression about the bigger they are, the harder they fall, that can happen real quickly to an organization that doesn't take care of its resources and is a good steward. And I think, one of the things that, you think of profitability sometimes as like a dirty word, or like that's the secondary part of what we do. If it's not the priority, we can't continue to build. We can't continue to attract the best people. And what are some of the ways that our folks can, at all levels, can help us impact profitability?
Yeah, there's all, just having the mindset of that, right? I mean, that's how we live our own lives, right? Yeah. When my son comes up to me and asks for something, what's the cost? That's right. And then the other thing is, what are we going to get out of it? What is the real value out of it?
Continuing along the lines of profitability, one of the most important things that contribute to profitability is the schedule. So in this next video, John's going to talk more about that and what each of you can do to make sure a project is running smoothly so that we all get paid in a timely manner.
Keeping a job on schedule has probably the biggest impact on our profitability out of anything else that we do.
No doubt.
Every week a job runs over, it just drains the profit. I mean, the customer's not paying for that. You need the equipment on the job, you need the people on the job. You're probably re-cleaning the job 2 or 3 times. I mean, there's many costs that just get blown by not keeping a job on schedule. And not only does it make the job more profitable, it makes the customer more loyal. And when the customer is more loyal, what do they tend to do? they tend to give you more work. So, there are many, many benefits. And I think, everybody in our organization has an impact on schedule. Whether it's, closing out the job in accounting, there's an impact there. If we don't close the job out, we don't get our retainage. That money is sitting in somebody else's bank account instead of ours. Obviously the people in the field have the biggest impact on schedule, but if we don't set you up well in the office, we're setting you up to fail. So we know that, that's part of our job as project managers and everybody else involved on that side to set up the field for success. So that's another huge impact to profitability. And I think if we just fix that, we would have, the profits would be better, the client relationships would improve, the steadiness of the work would be there, so that, superintendents were not sitting at home between jobs for too long. So there's so many benefits to just focusing on schedule and executing the schedule.
As I mentioned at the Christmas party, we're super excited because Stansell has won top workplaces for 2025 for USA Today and Tampa Bay, which is amazing. And culture is something that we focus so heavily on. So to get that recognition is, of course, a plus. We have to make sure that we're all doing our job and doing it well so that we can execute with urgency and keep up the same level of customer-focused construction that we strive to deliver and uphold our 4 pillars. Which, if you don't know the 4 pillars, what are you doing here?
And I think, last thing I kind of want to say is, as an organization, we want to, there's 2 more things I want to say. We want to shift from, no, we can't do this because, to the answer is yes, now what's the question mentality. Like, we can figure this out, we can make this happen. And 2024 was a year for us where we really focused on culture, right? I mean, we talked about our culture, we talked about our 4 pillars, and I think we did a great job of getting that message out of who we want to be and what we stand for and all that. And I think at the party and at the meetings, we talked about what culture is and what culture isn't. And what culture is developing a team of people that are like-minded, that have a common goal, that want the same thing and want what's best for each other and want what's best for Stansell. What culture is not is tolerating, bad performance, or having to pick up the slack for somebody who's not willing to put forth the effort. And we talked a little bit about Bill Belichick. What's his motto? Do your job, right? And if everybody takes that mindset, do your job, and does it to the best of their ability, I mean, it's amazing what we can accomplish, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yeah. They say culture is who you are.
Yeah.
That is who you are. But culture trumps strategy every time.
Absolutely.
Strategy is who we're trying to become, right? So, but culture is always lying under that, and that's who we are.
That's a good point. Absolutely.
So as many of you know, I grew up playing soccer, played D1, no big deal. But we had this game that we used to play in practice called Power and Finesse. And basically, you would either use power and hit the ball as hard as possible into the goal, or you would finesse, which means you had to place it in one of the corners. And when we're talking about executing with urgency this year, I think about the word finesse. My mind goes to what I just told you about my soccer days. If we just go all out, urgent power, you're not always going to make it in the net. But if we finesse, if we place, if we find the corners, if we are strategic in how we deliver each project, but we're still doing it at a fast pace, we are going to really do a great job this year and execute with urgency properly. So as we go into 2025, please keep that in the back of your mind. What can you do to help the Stansell team, help each other, help us grow in the right way and still get the results that we want and deliver the best possible service to our clients? So with that, whoever I'm looking at, I want to thank my fans. Just kidding. Not funny? Well, that concludes our first ever episode of the Stansell Blueprint. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, you want to see something specific in the future, any topics you want discussed, please let us know. We're all ears. But from me, from Bear, have a great day, and we will talk soon. Yay!